Hello everyone. In this video we're going to put the side moldings back on. Now, the last time I showed you this car, I was tuning it for more miles per gallon, and I'm sure a lot of you want to know how many miles per gallon it gets now. Well, honestly, I don't know, because shortly after I made that video, the front seat started falling apart, and I quit driving it. So a while ago, I got in the car, and one of these pieces of backrest spring came off. It went through the seat cushion and tore a hole in my shirt. Now, I got really mad when that happened, so I decided to walk away before I did something I regret, and I let the car sit for a few days. I eventually did fish this out and sew up the hole in the seat cover and drove it around, and a few days later the same thing happened on a spring next to it. So eventually all of these ended up breaking. This part of the backrest just didn't want to hold together anymore for some reason. And when all that happened, I really got pissed off then. And I just kind of parked the car and walked away from it, again, before I did something I regret, and it's been sitting here ever since. I haven't yet figured out how I'm going to fix any of this, because obviously none of it's available new, but when I do, that will probably be the next big project on this car, is rebuilding the seats. Now, what got my enthusiasm going again was, while I was searching for textiles for a different project, I found a company that sells brand new the green nylon that was used on the seats originally. And here it is. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to use it. I haven't decided yet if I even like it. I don't know how durable it is. The original material didn't hold up very well. But on the other hand, I was amazed that it's available new. So I'll make a decision by the time I start putting the seat back together. And now let's talk about the side moldings. This car originally had the Deluxe trim, which was only available in 60 and 61, and it was mostly made up of these stainless steel cove moldings, which honestly, when I first saw this car, I thought they looked kind of gaudy, but I got used to them. On this car, most of the moldings were still good, but some of them were smashed up pretty bad, and some were actually falling off. So one of the first things I did was I took most of them off and put them aside until later. My plan was to eventually clean up and polish the good moldings, which I've done, and most of them I put back on, and find replacements for the bad ones. The replacement Deluxe trim moldings for a four-door sedan weren't quite as easy to find as I thought. I haven't been searching all that hard. I've had bigger things to worry about with this car. But in the meantime, I was getting tired of all these open holes on the side of the body, so just for fun I took the worst one, cleaned it up and put it on to see if it looked better than nothing, and it does. So I'm going to put them all back on. And my plan is to still replace the bad ones, but swap them out one by one as I find them. In the meantime, the car will look finished from the outside. As you can see, I've installed the left side moldings, and now I'm going to install the right side. Now here's all the moldings for the right side. This one, it goes on the front of the front fender. It's got a few dents in it, but I decided they weren't worth fixing. This one's pretty good. I'll save it. This one goes around the tail light. It was a little beat up. I managed to fix it pretty good, so it's usable. It's one of the corners for the back. I think this is the upper. Nothing wrong with it. Same thing but the lower. This one was bashed really good, and I kind of beat it back into shape a little. Probably going to replace this one, but it goes behind the bumper, so it doesn't really matter. These two go on the front fender, and they're both pretty good. I polished them up, and we're going to save those. These four are for the doors. This one has a little bit of a dent here, but other than that, the rest of them are pretty good. So those are all polished, ready to go. These two up here are off the quarter panel. Now this one was smashed here and way over here, and I straightened them out a little. This one, put a little more effort in it. This entire section here was smashed in, And I think just for the fun of it, to see if I could straighten it out, I tried. Didn't bother polishing it, because both of these I'm going to replace eventually when I find better ones. But I polished this one up and cleaned this one up best I could. And from a few feet away you can't see what's wrong with them, and they'll look better than nothing, so I'll install them anyway. And here's the clips that hold the moldings on. These snap onto the body and then the molding snaps on over that. This has like a rubber cap on it to seal it from the weather. And here's one without it. It's got these two hooks on it, and the way I figured out to install these is I take wire cutters and push these towards each other like this is, then press these against the body, and then just press this end together with a pair of wire cutters, and that secures it on. And every molding has at least one of these. It's a clip with a threaded stud on it. This had a spring wire end on it, but they all broke off. Most of these are reusable, some of them are rusted away to nothing. And like I said, all these, the spring clip is broken on them. So I've been making a few of my own. This is a screw soldered to a piece of sheet metal. Now these are available new, but they're like $5 or $6 each, and that adds up quite a bit considering how many moldings this has. And I had a bucket full of these screws and nuts with nothing else to do with them, and had an afternoon with nothing to do, so I made a bunch of these. And it'll get the job done. Now I have to install the front fender moldings. Now the problem is, we have to take the fender off to do that. I learned that the hard way from working on the other side. And before I can do that, I have to take the bumper off, the grill off, and the headlight. None of it's really difficult, it's just a lot to do. But complaining about it won't get the job done. And now it's time to reassemble it. Now the front of this, it's got a little bit of damage here and there, a little surface rust. My plan is eventually I'm going to repaint the engine bay, and I'm going to take the engine and transmission out, and while I'm at it, I'll take the whole front of the car apart again and then address all this. So eventually I'm going to fix all that. And it's done. At some time later, I gave the whole car a good wash, which I probably should have done to start with, but anyway, it's done. And I'm actually quite surprised at what a difference it makes. I mean, obviously it looks more finished, but the whole car actually looks a lot more upscale and expensive with this. Anyway, that's it for this video. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.